yeah, you might be the only actor in history to have played Tupac and Martin Luther King Jr. It's like that's quite right. That's a lot of range right there. Right. Pivoting to your background and how you grew up, yeah, I know your mother passed away when you were a teenager, and I read something where you said that if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't be where you were today. How so?
Because I was a mama's boy. I mean, I grew up, my mama was my everything, and when she passed away, my aunt became my everything. To this day, my sisters are my everything, So if my mom would have stayed alive, I would have never left home. I went to boarding school when I was 16 years old. I would have never considered going to boarding school with my mama. I ain't leaving this house. I love my mama. I'll just, drive UPS and stay here with my mama, But once my mom passed away and my brothers and sisters stepped in, my life changed in a extreme way because of that hurt, because of that loss, because of that inability to be the baby. I had to grow up really quick and see the world from a different way, from a different perspective. So it just, it changed me and made me become a man, overnight. And my brothers and my sisters really aided in that. And my dad was, very vocal in the fact that, you ain't nobody baby no more. So you got to man up.
Mhm. Your brother, or at least one of your brothers, is an engineer, correct?
Yeah. He has a
Yeah.
program here called STEM NOLA, where he literally, infects, because it's infectious, tens of thousands of kids with science and math. It's amazing. Like I say, I'm fortunate. I have two brothers who have always been my greatest catalyst. One of my brothers, went to law school and now is a restaurateur here in New Orleans. And my other brother is an engineer and has his STEM program. So, we've always been invested in our community.
And yet, you obviously you're an actor. So was there a point where you realized that you could, really do this, that you could make a living off of this? This could be it for you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, if you come to New Orleans, I'm the failure of the bunch. Like my
Okay.
when I was in New York, I to be honest, the moment I realized I wanted to be an actor and I wanted to invest everything, I was sitting with my mom and I was watching because we used to watch Arsenio Hall every night before we went to bed. And I was watching Arsenio Hall and Leaders of the New School, Tribe Called Quest, Busta Rhymes was performing Scenario. And Busta Rhymes did his verse and he said, powerful impact, boom goes the cannon. And he had on his Dr. Seuss hat. And the studio went so crazy. The camera was shaking. Arsenio Hall flat top grew like 3 inches. Like it just went insane. And I turned to my mom and I said, I want to be that guy. Like that, I want to do what that guy just did. I want to turn the room inside out with my words. And from that moment, I really started taking it seriously and started a little, little entertainment entity here in New Orleans. And had my little public access TV show and I would do my little plays. And I realized then that it was something that I was good enough at, or I was willing to work hard enough at, that I could make a living at it.
It seems like, and you obviously certainly can correct me, that you have avoided being typecast, because I look at the variety of roles that you've played, from Papa Doc to what you did in The Banker, which was excellent, by the way. Looking at the just the breadth of your career, I don't know if it was something you did, or if you were conscious of, but how did you avoid being cast as whatever they may have wanted, whatever box they may have wanted to put you in?
To be honest, I have a good team. I've been with the same agent and manager for 20 years now. And one of the first conversations we had when we sat down was, what career do you want? Because they were like, if you want to be gang member number 3 in every movie, I don't want to represent you. And my agent and my manager, they're very focused and in tune with the idea of me and my Blackness. And they appreciate and support that. And instead of just trying to make me, in his own words, instead of trying to make me the best Black actor out there, they wanted to get those roles that would make me the best actor out there. So early in my career, I would say, 6 times out of 10, the roles that I was auditioning for was written for white dudes. When I auditioned for Hurt Locker was written for a white dude. So 8 Mile wasn't even written. It was just like, when I got 8 Mile, it was 4 days, 2 scenes, and 4 lines. And as the movie evolved, this character became an entity in the movie. And that's kind of been the story of my career. Like, if you work hard and say no more than you say yes, like, there's a lot of stuff I turned down because it was after 8 Mile, I was offered every rapper, every gangster in every movie.
I was just about to ask it. I was like, I know after 8 Mile.
Every movie. And then there were certain movies that I wanted to audition for that, my reps were like, after doing 8 Mile, I don't think you should do that. So it was a conscious decision on their part that became a conscious decision on my part.
Yeah, you might be the only actor in history to have played Tupac and Martin Luther King. It's like that's quite right. That's a lot of range right there. Right. It's like, damn, okay. Well, I mean, let me stop there though. What was that like, to play somebody like, Tupac, very complex kind of person, and obviously not with us, real person. What was that experience like?
It was difficult and nerve-wracking, much like Martin Luther King, because Tupac lived in 3 different realities. He lived in the reality of the people who knew him. He lived in the reality of what the press told us, and he lived in the reality of our judgment upon his actions. Everybody had a different idea of who he was. So I went into Notorious, and my first job, I did this off-Broadway play called Up Against the Wind, where I played Tupac. And that's kind of how Notorious came about, because, my first CD was a Tupac CD. Like, I loved, I was such a mama's boy that I wasn't allowed to be in the streets. So I learned the streets through listening to Tupac, So, I went into playing Tupac realizing that 50% of the people are going to hate what I do. So once you accept that, you're good. And 50% of the people are gonna say, "Oh, it was good, but he don't look like him." And I'm like, if that's your biggest complaint, that's a win. So
Right.
it was more about capturing the essence. It was more, Tupac was a vibrant figure. He was like, when you walk in a house and somebody cooking, that aroma, Tupac was that aroma. He filled the room. And the more people I met, the more people I talked to about him, when his mom told me I did a good job, I was like, that's a win. Nobody else mattered.
Yeah, what else do you need after that?
What else do you need? Some random dude at the barbershop? Nah.
Well, Tupac obviously meant to be a Black character, and as was the story in The Banker, meant to be for a Black actor. Tell me how that came across your path doing The Banker.
My dear friend George Anofi we were shooting Adjustment Bureau. It was 2010, and his on-set partner and editor Joel Vittel had been working on this he had heard the story, had been working on it for about 10 years. So we were on the top of 30 Rock, and we were shooting Adjustment Bureau, and Joel, just in between takes, told Nofi and I this story. And we were having so much fun on Adjustment Bureau, we were trying to figure out something else we could do together. Like, what other project could we do? And we decided then in 2010 that we were going to get the banker going, but we didn't realize it was going to take us 10 years, just to get the rights, to get the script, to get all of it together. So it was a process. It was a long process. But when I heard that story, I was blown away by how, like, when I hear people use the term savage, I'm like, Bernard was a savage. This dude would not lose, and, learning his story, I felt like it needed to be told. And luckily enough, we were able to get Sam Jackson, Nia Long, and just simply off the script. Like, it wasn't like, you my friend, would you please do this movie with me? It was like, no, they read the script and they were like, we got to tell this story. This is the story like young Black kids need to see.